So Arsenal are back in Europa League action this week with a trip away to FC Zurich. So what do we know about them? Well, stay tuned and find out. This is Over and Over and Over Again. Hello, my name is Richard. Welcome back to the channel Over and Over and Over Again. Today we're going to look at our first Europa League opponents of the season, FC Zurich. Find out all that we know about them, a little bit of their history, their current form, who their coach is, a few of their famous former players, and we'll also preview the match as well. So lots to get through. Let's get started. So FC Zurich then were formed in 1896, and it was an accumulation of two local sides, Zurich and FC Excelsior. And then a couple of years later, another local side, FC Victoria, joined as well, and that's what became FC Zurich. They did win their first league title in Switzerland in the 1901-1902 season, but it wasn't until 1923-24 that they won the title for a second time. Just after that, they did suffer a bit of a yo-yo period where they were relegated out of the top division, promoted. That happened a few times until 1957 when they gained promotion again to the top flight, and that would start their most successful period in their history. Between 1963 and 1981, they won 7 Swiss league titles and 5 Swiss cups, and that included 2 doubles in 1966 and 1976. During that period, they also reached the semi-final of the European Cup on 2 occasions. That was in 1964, where they lost to Real Madrid, and in 1977 when they lost to Liverpool. After that great run of success, they were relegated again in the late 1980s, although they did quickly return to the top flight and won the cup again in the year 2000. They won 3 titles in the early 2000s as well, in 2006, 2007 and 2009, and they won the cup again in 2014. They were relegated, surprisingly, in 2016, in a year that they also won the cup for a 9th time. But they did return to the top flight at the first attempt, and they won their 13th league title last season in 2021-2022. So that is a history of FC Zurich. So FC Zurich's coach then is Franco Foda. He's a German. He was born in April 1966 in Mainz. As a player, he was a defender, mainly in Germany and Austria, although he did play in Switzerland for FC Basel, and he also made 3 appearances for West Germany in the 1980s. He was manager of Sturm Graz in Austria from 2001 to 2012, and then again from 2014 to 2018. He won the cup with them in 2010 and followed that up by winning the league title in 2011. He was also briefly manager of Kaiserslautern in Germany in the 2012-2013 season, and also as well he was head coach of the Austrian national side between 2018 and 2022. He took over here at FC Zurich in the summer of 2022, so he's just began his first season, replacing the successful Andre Bierenhofer, who left for Hoffenheim at the end of last season. So that is the FC Zurich coach, Franco Foda. So FC Zurich Stadium is actually the Lesingrund in Zurich, which was opened in 2006. But the game on Thursday night can't be played there due to the fact that it clashes with a Diamond League athletics meeting. So the game is going to be played in a stadium you can see behind me, which is FC Gallen's Stadium, which is actually 54 miles away from Zurich. It's called the Khyber Park. And it opened in 2008. It's got a capacity of just under 20,000, and it has actually hosted 28 Swiss international matches. I say it's the home of FC Gallen, who also play in the Swiss League. So this is where the game is going to be played on Thursday at the Khyber Park in Gallen. So in history, the FC Zurich have met a few British sides in European competition. The first time was actually Celtic in the European Cup first round in 1966. They did lose both legs 3-0 at home and 2-0 at Celtic Park. They did knock Nottingham Forest out of the Intercity Fairs Cup the following season. They won 1-0 at home before losing 2-1 at the City Ground, but they did go through on away goals. They played Dundee as well in that same competition at the quarter-final stage in 1968. Again, they lost both legs, 1-0 home and away. And they did also lose to Kilmarnock in the Intercity Fairs Cup in 1970. That was in the first round. They did win 3-2 at home, but they lost 3-1 away to get knocked out. They met Wrexham in the Cup Winners' Cup first round in 1972. They drew 1-1 at home before losing 2-1 away. And then they met Leeds in the European Cup in the first round. That was in 1974. They did win 2-1 at home, but suffered a 4-1 defeat at Ellen Road. They played Rangers in the European Cup as well in the first round. That was in 1976. And they did get through that tie. They won the home leg 1-0 before a 1-1 draw at Ibrox. That actually took them eventually to the semi-finals that season, as we mentioned before. They did play Liverpool, but they did lose both legs, 3-1 at home and 3-0 at Anfield. They met Celtic again in the UEFA Cup. That was in the second round in 1998. Again, they got through. They won 4-2 at home before a 1-1 draw at Celtic Park. Their most recent meeting with an English side was Newcastle United. That was in the UEFA Cup second round in 1999. They lost 2-1 at home and 3-1 at St James's Park. And just this season, they played Hearts in the Europa League qualifiers, and they did get through that tie. They won at 2-1 at home and 1-0 at Tynecastle. So that's their record against British sides in Europe. Now, there have been a few players that we may recognise that have played for FC Zurich in history. The most famous one is probably Roberto Di Matteo. Of course, we remember from his days at Chelsea, where, of course, he was manager there as well when they won the Champions League. He did play for FC Zurich between 1991 and 1992. Other players to play in England who have also played for FC Zurich: Sean Bartlett, who did play for Charlton. He was at FC Zurich between 1998 and 2001. And we'll all remember, of course, Thomas Brolin, that famous Swedish international who played against us, of course, in the Cup Winners' Cup final in 1994. He played in England for Leeds and Crystal Palace. He was on loan at FC Zurich back in 1996. There also was Peter Moller, who did play for Fulham. He was on loan at FC Zurich between 1994 and 1995. And also Jonas Tern, who did play for Rangers. He played for FC Zurich as well in 1987. So that's some of the former players of FC Zurich that we may well know from their time playing in Britain. So in terms of current form, then, as we said, FC Zurich are the reigning Swiss league champions, but they've had a really difficult start to this season. They got knocked out of the Champions League qualifiers by Karabag. They did lose that 5-4 on aggregate after extra time, but they have beaten Linfield and Hearts in the Europa League qualifiers to reach the group stage. In the league, though, it's been a really difficult start for FC Zurich. In their opening 7 games, they've yet to win. They've got 2 draws and 5 defeats. They do sit 9th out of 10 in that league, so they've had a really tough start to the season. So maybe it is a good time for Arsenal to be visiting FC Zurich, especially as we can see behind us, they're not even be playing in their own stadium. So what can we expect from this game then? I mean, Arsenal are going to start big favourites to win this game. Zurich are not in great form. They haven't really got much history in European competition, especially in recent years. And of course, Arsenal, despite that defeat at Manchester United at the weekend, we have started the season really, really well. I am expecting there to be quite a few changes to the starting lineup. A lot of players given some minutes maybe in this game that haven't been featuring too much in the Premier League. I would expect Matt Turner to probably start in goal for his first team debut, so that could be a big moment for him. In defence, I'd probably expect Tomiyasu and Kieran Tierney to start as fullbacks, maybe Rob Holding coming in, possibly Gabriel keeping his place maybe in the back four. In midfield, we don't have an awful lot of options, do we? Maybe Lokonga could do with a few more minutes, so he may well play. Possibly Zinchenko could drop in there, or maybe Granit Xhaka will keep his place in the midfield. Then just ahead of him, in the number 10 position, you'd imagine Martin Odegaard, the captain, will probably have to start as Smith Rowe isn't fit. And then in the front three, you'd imagine Eddie Nketiah is going to come in to play through the middle with possibly Fabio Vieira and Manquinos either side of him. So I'm expecting a lot of changes, but it still will be a decent Arsenal team. It'd be good to see some of these players that we haven't seen much of so far this season. But I am predicting a fairly comfortable Arsenal victory. I think it will finish here on Thursday. FC Zurich 0, Arsenal 3. So that there is our preview of Thursday night's Europa League opener against FC Zurich. It's going to be good to be back in European competition again following the year that we had out last season. So looking forward to this game. It's a good game for us to start with as well. As against a team not in great form. We should be able to, I say, rest a few players and still be confident of getting the positive result that we need to kick off this group stage. Of course, we should be favourites to get through into the knockout stage. But you can't take nothing for granted in football. We know that too well ourselves. So it's important that we get a good start, get 3 points on the board in this game, and then we can move forward and hopefully enjoy another good European campaign in the Europa League. It's a competition that we need to win, and maybe this season could be a season that we do it, but a long way to go yet. But we do kick off here, I say, in Zurich actually in Gallen on Thursday against FC Zurich. So looking forward to this one. If you have enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. It does help the channel to get more notice on YouTube. If you do like what we do here, all the new shows that we've got on the channel this season, please consider subscribing as well. Coming up, of course, tonight we've got Melvin's fantastic Highbury Matters show, looking back to the period in the late 1960s. He's got a special guest joining him for that, so please tune in tonight at 8 o'clock for that. Tomorrow, of course, Thursday's match day, we'll be here for the full watch along. It's an early kickoff, 4:45, so we'll go live at 5:30 with all your build up, the team news, and also full match commentary. Following us after the game, we'll have Adam is back with the Arsenal social. That'll be just after 8 o'clock once the game's finished, so you can stay tuned for that as well. And on Friday, it's the return of the Arsenal Women's Show, called Arsenal Women's Weekly this season. Be joined by the usual panel previewing, of course, the start of the WSL season and Arsenal's trip to Manchester City. So loads coming up on the channel for the rest of this week. Hopefully it'll be something there that you will enjoy. So please consider subscribing to the channel. Give this a like. I will see you Thursday. Don't forget, tonight it's the Highbury Matters show with Melvin. That is a fantastic show, a bit of Arsenal history, and hopefully we'll be making some history in the Europa League this season. Let's hope so. In the meantime, of course, as always, stay tuned to the channel, like, share, subscribe. Come on, you Gunners.